After Life is a heartfelt black comedy that follows Tony Johnson as he copes with the sudden death of his wife and contemplates killing himself in the aftermath. He begins to live his life exactly the way he wants to, disregarding everyone around him and how they feel. In this video, we're going to be covering some of the hilarious bloopers from Season 3, talk a bit about the show in general, and hopefully have some good laughs along the way. Thanks for tuning in. First, let me give you a synopsis of the first season of After Life. After Life is a show about Tony Johnson, played by Ricky Gervais, who works as a newspaper writer in the small British town of Tambury. Tony's wife is sick with breast cancer, and he is grief-stricken when she suddenly dies. Tony becomes extremely depressed and starts acting negatively towards all the other people in his life. He suddenly becomes a person who completely disregards everyone around him and their feelings towards him. Instead of starting to hate him, everyone ends up taking pity on the man and all start volunteering their time to try to bring him out of his depression and back into reality. At the end of the first season, Tony begins to come around, treating people with empathy and realizing that the meaning of life is not to do whatever you want, but rather it is to be pleasant and helpful to those around you. However, to people who are undeserving of his niceness, or people Tony determines to be bad people, he treats them exactly the way they treat other people. In the end, Tony decides against killing himself as he realizes he can do that whenever and will put it off, at least for now. Up next, a Season 2 recap. By Season 2, Tony has come around quite a bit more and even considers going out on a date with a nurse named Emma, who works at the elderly care facility his father stays at. This is a big turnaround for Tony, who at the beginning of the show was seriously considering ending his own life. Another scene that shows Tony's newfound empathy is when he sits down with the owner of the newspaper he works for and convinces him not to sell the paper. He explains to the owner that he can sell the paper whenever, a lot like the way Tony has looked at ending his own life. There's always an opportunity to do it, but once you do it, you can never turn back. Why not give it another day? When Tony's father dies, it sends him back into a depression, and he begins considering ending his own life again. At the last moment, before Tony swallows a handful of sleeping pills, Emma shows up at his door to console him about the death of his father. She also explains to Tony that she wants to be with him, even if they need to take things extra slowly so Tony can deal with his emotions. The season ends on a cliffhanger, right after Emma explains her perspective to Tony, in the end saving his life. And for now, a recap of Season 3. Season 3 reveals that Tony and Emma are in fact dating. However, things are tough as Tony is still having a very hard time getting over the death of his wife and his father. He's under the impression that people will think he is trying to replace his wife by dating Emma. Tony's brother-in-law, his deceased wife's brother, invites Tony and Emma over for drinks in order to get the two to reconcile and get closer to one another. Tony is reluctant to come, but eventually does, only to get upset and leave angrily. It seems as though it will take some time for Tony to get over his dead wife enough to really be emotionally available to Emma. The end of Season 3 has all the characters we've met over the last 3 seasons attending a town fair that has been around for centuries. It is symbolic of the fact that life goes on whether we want it to or not. Death awaits us all in the end, but we need to take it day by day in order to experience everything life has to offer. Up next, some hilarious bloopers from the show. Fans are thrilled to see the outtakes from the show, with many commenting that the outtake reel is actually funnier than the show itself. Netflix's Twitter announced that they would be releasing footage of Ricky and the crew messing about and dying of laughter. There's even a scene that has Gervais laughing so hard he ends up falling on the floor. The scenes include one with Ken Otley, played by Colin Hoult, who is the head of the local drama club. When someone calls him an amateur, he says, "I am a professional actor and director, I'll have you know." He then breaks into song where he quotes the famous movie Taxi Driver, singing the famous lines, "You talking to me? This sends Ricky Gervais, who is behind the camera, into an uncontrollable laughter, squealing, "I don't know what to do." The scene is hilarious in itself, and with Ricky Gervais's incredibly contagious laughter, it makes the scene all that much more hilarious. It would seem that this is a common thread throughout the bloopers, as Ricky Gervais seems to always be the culprit, ruining scenes because he cannot control his laughter. Throughout the 13 minutes of outtakes, most of them end up with Ricky laughing pervasively, which in turn gets everyone else laughing, and then the scene basically falls apart. One fan wrote on Twitter, "The extra content is almost funnier than the original series," with another saying, "Please just keep releasing these as I literally choke laughing and crying. It's just the antidote we all need nowadays. Just wonderful." The bloopers are a nice break from the dark side of Afterlife. People become incredibly connected to the characters and begin to forget that it is just a show. The grief felt by Tony can make anybody with a heart feel empathy, because we can all imagine losing the ones we love. The bloopers can break that mold and remind us that all of these people are having a great time making the show, no matter how dark the show can get. And now, let's talk about why outtakes are so beloved by people around the world. Bloopers and outtakes give us a rare look at how our favorite actors and actresses behave in real life. It is so fun to see the people we have connected with as they play characters acting as themselves, to get a feel of how it would be to hang out with them in real life. Laughing is usually the main reason bloopers come about, so it is usually comedic scenes that create the best bloopers. Afterlife can be quite a morbid show at times, and to break up that murky feeling with laughter, it creates a sense that everything is going to be all right in life. Many people enjoy watching bloopers, especially if it's to shows they know and love. It's a bit of a combination of getting to see behind the scenes of how the show was made, how the actors interact in real life, and what exactly they find funny as real human beings. It's also a reminder that the woman who plays Tony's wife is still alive, and allows us as viewers to disconnect emotionally from the dark realities of death. It would be extremely entertaining if we got to see bloopers more often, even in more serious movies, dark movies, and even horror movies, in order to give the audience a time to decompress from the stress the movie has caused in the first place. After all, we watch these movies and shows to be entertained, and what's more entertaining than getting to see the making of our favorite movies and shows? What's more entertaining than sharing a laugh with someone whose characters you have connected with on many different levels? At least give us the option more often to see the outtakes and bloopers of movies and shows. After all, they have to exist with everything that's ever been filmed. Hey Hollywood, if you're watching this video, give us more outtakes. And to wrap it up, what's in store for Afterlife? Unfortunately, the show looks like it won't be picked up for any more seasons, and the abrupt ending of season 3 is all we're going to get. The season ends with Tony walking off into the sunset, talking about how life goes on, and you should always take things as they come. The show had a solid run and held a decently high rating on Rotten Tomatoes and other review aggregator sites as well. We hope you enjoyed this video, and remember to watch all those bloopers on Netflix if you want to have a good laugh. It will always be a treat to watch bloopers and see how the actors interact on a personal level. Ricky Gervais's laugh is one that gets us laughing every time, as we've seen with The Ricky Gervais Show and his interactions with Stephen Merchant and Carl Pilkington. Thanks again for watching, and we hope you have a wonderful day.